Okay. Well, it looks like we're good to go. We have a quorum, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:01. Thank you, Tom, for taking the minutes again. I'm going to pull up the agenda. So if everyone wants to take a moment to review it. And just as a note, there's a couple items that we're going to have to table until the next meeting. Jamie's unable to make this meeting tonight, so we're not going to be going over the data piece that she was reporting out on tonight, but we'll definitely touch on it next time. And upon reviewing, are there any changes that the board members see?
I wonder if we should table the board member check-in since we are devoid of a few board members here.
Yes, I also think that's a good idea. Part of what I wanted to do is at least offer an opportunity, since it was there when we get to that portion, if board members would like to comment. I don't want to take that opportunity away. And that being said, I'd also like to table for a full board opportunity so we can hear where people are at and what your thoughts and feelings are with what's working, what's not. So I think that's a good point. And that being said, if there were board members that had something prepared that they wanted to be able to get out tonight, I don't want to deny that opportunity. Okay, and then is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on anything on the agenda that's missing so we can consider for future meetings? And I'll ask you to unmute if that's the case, because I can't see everyone. Okay, so the next agenda item is the mission review. I was hopeful that another board member would offer to read it. I think sometimes getting a new voice is a lot more effective. So if one of our board members would be willing to read that mission, that would be fabulous.
Sure, I can do it.
Thank you, John.
All right, mission: to offer advice to the St. Albans Police Department for the successful implementation of 21st century policing strategies and to assist the police department in following the established roadmap as amended by the City Council.
Thank you, John. So the next piece is to consider the approval of the June and the July meeting minutes. I'll take the agenda now so I can see board members. So we had 2 months worth of meeting minutes that were sent out. Were there any additions, deletions, modifications that members saw? And if not, if I could get a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Tom. Can I get a second?
I will second that motion.
Thank you, John. All in favor? Thumbs up. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, motion passed. So the next piece on the agenda was the area of focus for the data. And as I said, Jamie's not able to make it tonight, so we're going to skip past that piece. I'm going to go to the community partnership area of focus. So as mentioned previously, I'm on the executive lead team for the Franklin Grand Isle Community Partnership, and we meet monthly as a lead team to schedule out our presenters for each month. So right now we're looking at the month of November to have the Police Advisory Board present to our community partners so they can better understand the work that we're doing, so we can get their voices and build stronger partnerships. So right now it's tentative, but November is the month that we're looking at as of right now. So just want to let members know that. And what I'll be doing in the meantime is reaching out and connecting with board members so we can make sure that we cover the ground that all members want to. So just an update on that. Another thing too is, and this is not necessarily relative to community partnership specifically, but we want to look into some more training and not only for our board members, but also for the police department. And Winnie and I had connected, and Nikki Fuller, who did our implicit bias training, was amazing, is amazing. And my intention would be to reach out to her, but I'd love to get your thoughts as a board. If you have ideas on what you think would be effective training, what you would like me to look into. As I said, right now, my thought is to pursue Nikki Fuller for some training, but I want to open the floor to board members to see what your feelings are.
I would be happy to participate in any additional trainings. What would the topic be of Nikki's additional trainings that she offers, or do you know off the top of your head?
So, well, she offers a slew of trainings. What we're looking for specifically that we would like to recommend for the police department would be an equity training, belonging training. And I also feel like it would be important for us as a board to align the training that we get. So that's what we were looking at. And I don't know, Winnie, if you want to share what your thoughts were on that.
My thoughts on that is that we should get training in terms of being able to speak to someone without gender identity, because that seemed to be a huge problem at this.
Yeah, and I think that we've definitely identified as time has gone on a lack of training, a lack of awareness. And I can't see where it would hurt, and especially now to have it be aligned with the same training that law enforcement gets. I think that could be beneficial too. So, but I want to give an opportunity if any other board members have suggestions on specific trainings that you'd like to see. Okay, quiet group tonight.
I don't off the top of my head. I'd be happy knowing that that's something that we're aiming to do. I can definitely look into it a little bit more, and hopefully, you know, if I see anything super interesting, I'm happy to reach out.
Okay, sounds good. So I think without hearing a lot more, I mean, I personally feel like that specific training would be a top priority. I just want to make sure that it's not, if others have something they think would be important, that we're not overlooking it. But I think what we'll do is just move forward. I'm going to pursue what the options are. I'll meet with our city manager in the next week or two and see what we have for budget and funding, so we can hopefully get Nikki Fuller, who is an amazing trainer, to do some training for us. So I will keep you all posted, and after the meeting too, if anybody has ideas of other trainings that you think that we should be looking at, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you, Danielle. Yeah, I saw that we had lost you for a second. So we're just confirming that I'm going to put the effort into pursuing some training from Nikki Fuller. And that being said, if board members have thoughts and feelings on other trainings they'd like, just to let me know. So the only other thing on the agenda, and I want to take in consideration what Tom said, it might be a very quick meeting. So on the agenda, I had put an opportunity for board members to share what's working and what's not working, so we can try to get more targeted and organized moving forward. I do agree with Tom that it would be more effective if all board members were present. And that being said, if members had something prepared that they wanted to share, I don't want to stifle that either. So I want to open the floor to board members to share any thoughts. And I don't know if I should just call on people one by one, or if you feel like we should table it all together.
Hi, can you hear me? It's Danielle.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you, Danielle.
Yep, I don't have anything. I didn't have anything prepared, which is I'm not sure is good or bad, but I am good with tabling it because of the level of attendance that we have today, and actually will provide me an opportunity to be much more intentional and thoughtful about my comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is everybody else comfortable with doing that too?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. I have been kind of having this thought for a little while about sort of a tangible direction we could go. And while I don't have anything prepared, I would be happy to sort of just bounce it off the wall for you guys here. But if everyone feels like we should wait until everyone else is here, I'm happy to do that as well. I don't want to rock the boat too much on a Tuesday.
I would say it's okay to go ahead and share it if you'd like, and then reiterate when we meet next, and maybe it'll help to spark some.
Yeah, if everyone is good with that, and I can prepare something a little more, a little more thoughtful when the full group is here. But a topic that has come up a few times, particularly when we've been talking with Chief Lamoth, has been this idea of the embedded crisis workers. And he seems to have expressed, a willingness to work more with them. And I remember early on when we looked at some call logs or something, and it was just, overnight, it was like this overwhelming majority of calls seemed to be mental health crisis related calls. But they have a person who works during the day, but not one at night. And we've kind of poked at it a little bit a few times, and it's always kind of been this like, well, we wish we had more. But I think as a group, this group might be a good group to dig a little deeper into that and see, maybe, if it's a resource reallocation, maybe we could help look at that a little bit if the chief is willing to do that, or if it's, because he has seemed to have a willingness to work more with those kinds of professionals. Maybe we could, he has suggested that maybe, recruitment of those types of people is a stumbling block. Maybe we could come up with some kind of action strategy to move that ball forward. That's just been one that's kind of rolling around in my head for a little while. I don't know if everyone else thinks that would be a fruitful endeavor or within our scope, but.
This is Danielle. I think that's a very wise strategy. I can also just let you know, being from the mental health agency and being a part of the leadership team, I feel like I have the expertise that could help explain around the funding and why it's an issue, and why it's really an unfunded mandate that actually NCSS pays for. And when I do think there is a strategy in really advocating to the city to say this should be out of your budget versus our mental health budget, because we're targeting population outcomes. And so I do think it's definitely worth having more of a conversation around that.
Cool.
Yeah, John, thank you for bringing that up. I actually reached out 2 days ago to inquire about having the two current workers join us at some point to talk about what they see, what the trends are, what their experience are. I thought that would be super helpful. And I know I've been vocal since the beginning that this is probably one of the topics I'm most passionate about. So I am appreciative that you brought it to this table. And I think that it definitely warrants an agenda item in the next meeting. Any other thoughts around that? Okay, so yeah, well, and John, I'd love to connect with you after the meeting too, to see, like you said, something tangible. And I think that you're onto an extremely high priority. And I'd love to look at some action items that we can do to explore that. And hopefully that would be a huge win for our community to get more resources like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So if no other board members want to comment, I'm going to jump to hi, Chris. That's no fun locking yourself out of your house. I'm glad you got back in.
I had to rely on my neighbor to crawl into my garage and open it up so I could get my keys out.
Oh my God.
So that's why I'm late. So, sorry.
I'm glad you made it. So we're kind of speeding through the agenda, Chris. We're missing a few of the items that we were going to be focused on this evening. One thing I want to give you an opportunity that I had listed is if board members would like to, we were hoping to do kind of like a round robin to get some thoughts of what's working, what's not working. While it was decided to table that so we can make sure we have all of the board members present, I also had opened the floor for the opportunity if anybody had anything prepared for tonight to not stifle that. And John brought forward the point of partnership with law enforcement, the crisis workers, and how can we make a recommendation to have more resources available to law enforcement for crisis workers. So we're going to be adding that to a future agenda. Was there anything that you had prepared that you had wanted to share, or would you like to table for the next meeting?
Are you asking me specifically?
I am, only because
Oh.
all the other board members have already gone.
Okay. No, I think that, thanks for bringing that up, John, because that has been on my mind as well. And not just, mental health workers, but also substance use folks. And I would really like to see that we, look to those kinds of resources more holistically for our community.
I think that's, the embedded crisis worker or the substance abuse workers. I think, those are two really, they're really, really obvious examples. But I think, more broadly, if we as a board can, identify, because we have to be honest, like we ask a lot of the, the police department fills a lot of roles, right? And I think there are some that they're well suited for and some that they're less well suited for. And I think if we as a board can kind of help suss out, which of those roles that we're relying on them for, that, there are better professionals out there, and how can we get creative about, getting, because I think what's nice is with Chief Lamont, at least, it has seemed like there's some willingness to, to have that conversation and some awareness of what roles, the police are maybe, like, yeah, we'd love to hand this off. But I also think, they don't necessarily want to hand it off to nobody. So if we can be an active part of that conversation, I would think maybe we can be helpful.
I thought that NCSS already is part of that process. It's just a matter of fact of getting more funding for more mental health and social workers to be embedded. And one question that I was just waiting for a time to get in is that seeing that St. Albans Police Department doesn't have to do both St. Albans city and town, there's a portion that is no longer part of their operations. Can some of the funding that was going towards that part go now to NCSS so that we could have 24 hours be part of the 24 hours coverage? And will we be able to get statistics in terms of the numbers of drug-related people that overdose or whatever, drug users, mental health or social quality of life situations? How many of those calls do the police department have, and how moving forward are they going to address that, seeing that there's not so much on the plate like it was before?
I think part of the discussion in looking at mental health, substance use, and all the other things we've talked about is looking at the reallocation of resources and funding. I don't know what the full budget is of the police department. I know that they did lose the contract with St. Albans Town, and they had to reduce their force. But are there other funds? I know, that Mo talks about, they have one, embedded mental health worker, but I think that person's only during the day. I don't think it's in the evenings. So, I think we have to really have some hard discussion. See, and then we have to talk about resources.
Yeah, I think that is a good question. First, about the budgeting, what that looks like. My understanding was that when the contract was moved, the funding went along with it. but I don't know that for sure. So that's a good question. And then, like you said too, Chris, the crisis worker they have now is Monday through Friday. So when they have calls in the evenings or weekends, there's no mental health or substance use professional available. And that's been something that in other roles I've been advocating for almost 10 years. So, and that's something that's been brought up at the community partnership too. And whether it's finding another funding source or an organization, because right now NCSS is the one funding that position. And Danielle had mentioned that right before you had gotten on. So, and I also think, John, you had made a point about, or maybe it was Winnie, made the point about looking for the numbers. So that was another thing I inquired about a couple days ago when I connected with them and said, can we plan on getting the crisis workers to come in so they can share about what they're seeing and get an idea of what those numbers are looking like. So that's, and I know that, I think, John, you had brought that up in the past too, that that'd be great data for us to have access to. So that was the other piece of my outreach a couple days ago, was to pursue getting the crisis worker to attend this meeting. Actually, two of them, even though one of them is technically with Vermont State Police, he was filling in the gap during the time that there wasn't one in SAPD when there was a change in employment or change in who was working in position. So those are things that would be included with their attendance in this meeting. I think they would be really helpful for us to know.
This is Danielle. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
I would also make a suggestion that if you're going to have the crisis workers come in, that you invite Steve Rower, the director of behavioral health, because he's the one that's really going to be able to speak about the budget and all the advocating that he's been doing at the state and with legislation and what some of the barriers have been around that.
Great idea, Danielle. Okay, any other thoughts on that topic? Okay, so at this portion of the agenda, we're at the public comment. I'm going to open up the floor to the public that's attended, and if you would like to share something, feel free to unmute yourself. Your voices are valuable. Ryer.
Sorry, can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to thank you all for bringing up the idea of the crisis workers. I think I work for a nonprofit that deals with people experiencing first and second break psychosis. And I really think it's like, it's vital that we have people who are like trained to do that. And the fact that we only have people Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 is silly, right? Because that's not when these breaks happen. That's not when people need the most help. It's during like night times and weekends and all that stuff. So I know the money's in the budget. I know that, you know, police departments take up large portions of budgets, and there's no reason why it couldn't be done. And I just think it's something that I'm glad you guys are looking at. I also just wanted to speak once again about my disappointment in Chief Lamott's comments last meeting, and just give a little bit more background on that. You know, we put a public comment in the city council meeting asking all city people to help, to come, to do whatever. We had lots of responses. The St. Albans City Police never responded. They never said anything back to us. And then when we didn't hear anything back, we didn't want a repeat of the undercover police that were at the Black Lives Matter rally we had the year before. And so we just cordially asked them to kind of just stay away and just give us a little calm. I think Chief Lamott's response was really inappropriate. I'll say it again. And, you know, Neighbors for Safer St. Albans have been working in the community for over a year now. And him and his police department have never once reached out to us, even though we're dealing directly with issues that involve police. And so it just would be really nice to have, you know, Chief Lamott reach out to the group. You know, we don't get paid for the work we do. We advocate for the community for free. We put the rally for free. We do all that stuff for free. He's a chief of police. He gets paid to do the national night out. You know, that's part of his job. This isn't part of our job. We do this for free. And it's just kind of like a slap in the face to the work we do. And I just, you know, for all of you members of this group, especially the white ones, I really ask you to advocate for the members of the community who are marginalized. Like, I put it out there a month ago, he still hasn't reached out to us, and maybe you guys should reach out and tell him, like, maybe you should reach out to this group, because, you know, we're trying to make it better. We're doing our best. We're doing it for free, and it's just frustrating when the work we do is criticized by someone who didn't try to be involved in the first place. So thank you guys all for the work you do.
Thank you, Ryer.
I just want to say, not in defense so much, but I know he's super new to this position, and I think he's still trying to get his bearings. So I do think if you keep at him, he's gonna get there. I just think when you're so new into such a big position, it just takes time, but don't give up on him. He's a really good guy, and I think you, in the end, will he'll be there for you when you need him. I'm really certain of that. It's a tough role to step into at this time. So just be patient and keep pecking away.
Thank you, Sally. The floor is still open for any more comments, board or public. So I think this is a first ever for us. We're done early, although I just saw Zach is just joining us. I hate to end when Zach is joining. Hi, Zach, welcome. We actually got through our agenda fairly quickly, and we were just going to be closing out the public comment section, but now that you're here, I want to give you an opportunity if you came with any comments before we move forward. Not to put you on the spot either. All set, okay. All right. So any other last comments by our board members before we adjourn? And if not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Tom. A second?
I will second.
Thank you, John. All in favor, thumbs up.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Thank you all for attending. Thank you so much for the public that showed up and shared. As always, thank you for the board members for all the hard work that you do. Have a blessed night and enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you.